Good morning, everyone.
Morning,
Good
Rabbi.
morning.
We're learning Mishna Gittin, Parak Dalet, Chapter 4, Mishnah Vav, Mishnah 6. Hamoicher Avdoi Lagoy. Somebody who owns a Canaanite slave, and he then goes and sells the Canaanite slave to a guy, to a non-Jew. Or he sells them to outside of Eretz Yisrael, even to another Jew. But he basically sold them to someone who lives outside of Eretz Yisrael, which puts him outside of Eretz Yisrael. Yatsa ben Chayrin. The halacha is that slave will go out as a free man. So the explanation is, for the first part, where it says if you sell the slave to a non-Jew, there the problem is, what's the problem? The problem there is that an Eved Kanani, a Canaanite slave, is obligated in mitzvahs. He has the same obligation of mitzvahs as women do. And therefore, if you sell him to a guy, the guy's not going to let him do mitzvahs. And therefore, you're causing him a big problem. He's obligated in mitzvahs, and now you're taking him away from that. So that's the problem with selling to the guy. With selling to the person in Chutz La'aretz, even if the other person, if the new owner is a Jew, nonetheless, as the Gemara brings down, it's prohibited for any Jew, including a Canaanite slave, to leave Eretz Yisrael unnecessarily. And therefore, if so, again, there's no reason you didn't have to sell him to somebody outside of Eretz Yisrael. And therefore, the halach is in both cases that he's going to go free. Now, what that means is like this. And this is, again, I'll read to you from the notes. In the first case where the slave was sold to a non-Jew, the sages imposed a fine on the original master for putting the slave into a position where he would be prevented from performing mitzvahs. They required the original master to free the slave by giving him a document of freedom, whether the slave escaped and returned on his own, or whether the original master bought him back from the non-Jewish master. You have to free him. Now, in fact, the original master is obligated to buy the slave back, even if he has to pay up to 10 times his market value and then free him. So this was a fine imposed upon the master who sold him to the non-Jew that prevented him not to be able to do mitzvahs. So if the Eved makes his way back, either because you bought him or he escaped, you have to free him. But even more than that, you actually have to buy him back. That's all part of the fine that the Chachamim imposed upon that master. Even, as they say here, you have to pay up to 10 times his market value to get him back, and then you still have to free him. So that is what it means regarding the first part, that if you sell your slave to a non-Jew, he has to go free. For the part of when you sold him to Chutz La'aretz, which means you sold him to a Jew outside of Eretz Yisrael, so here in the second case where the slave was sold to someone who lived outside of Eretz Yisrael, the rabbis decreed that the new master, if he's a Jew, must set him free as a punishment for buying him and bringing him out of Eretz Yisrael. There, the onus is on the second master. You agreed to have him come outside of Eretz Yisrael. You basically took him out of Eretz Yisrael. And therefore, when we say that he has to go free, that means the second master has to free him. Okay, so that's the first part of the Mishnah. Next.
Who pays in that case?
Pays what? In the second case, there's nobody paying anything. The second master is the one who's freeing him. And next, Ein paidin es hashvuyin yisakadei demeyen. We do not redeem captives for more than their value. For the benefit of society. Now, what that means is that every person, if you want to evaluate a person, meaning we're saying like this: this person should have been taken captive. We know there's a very important mitzvah called pidyon shvuim, to redeem captives. Big mitzvah. The Mishnah qualifies that mitzvah in the sense that it depends. If you'll get them back for their value, then you do it. If it takes more than their value to get them back, then you don't do it. Now, value is based on, as they bring down here, that is the price for which they would be sold as slaves in the slave market. Meaning, how do you evaluate the person? You evaluate the person as if they would be a slave in the slave market. What would they get for it? That's what you redeem them for. More than that, you don't. And why is it that? Why, if they're demanding more than their value, why do we say that you don't do it because of the benefit of society? The answer is so that non-Jews will not be encouraged to capture more Jews when they see how much Jews are willing to pay to ransom their brothers. And therefore, that's going to basically motivate, if you pay for more than their value, it's going to motivate them even more to do it. And therefore, that we don't do. They kidnap, you take them back for their value, okay. If you're going to start doing more than their value, that's going to motivate them even more to do it. And then that situation, we say, don't do it. Next. And we do not help slaves escape. We do not help the captives escape. Here again for the benefit of society. Okay, so this Jew's been taken captive. And now what do? You don't buy him back, but you help him escape. That we say you don't do. You don't do that. You don't help the Jew escape, the captive escape. Why? For the benefit of society. What does that mean? So the explanation to that is because if captives are helped to escape, kidnappers might use cruel methods to prevent Jews they capture in the future from escaping. That's the tikkun olam. And in the times of the Mishnah, clearly this was an issue of kidnapping and taking captives. And therefore, if you're going to help them escape, then future captives are going to suffer even more because of the past ones that have escaped. And what does it mean? And what does it mean they're going to be harsher on them? The Bartanur brings down, and here's from the notes translation, such as chaining them or encasing their feet in cement. Apparently that was a practice, not just to send them down the river, but to make sure that they did not escape. And that was pretty cruel. And therefore, in order to make sure that doesn't happen to future captives, you are not allowed to help them escape. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says the reason for not helping them escape is not because of what we call tikkun ha'olam, the help of society, but for the benefit of the captives. According to Shimon ben Gamliel, the point is that if you're going to help slaves escape, then the other ones that didn't escape, you can't always get everybody out. The ones that you didn't help escape, they're going to suffer now. So the difference between the first part of the Mishnah and Mishna Gamliel is that in the first part of the Mishnah, the concern of that comes from helping them escape is we're afraid what's going to happen to future captives. According to Mishna Gamliel, the issue is not future captives. The issue is anybody who's still stuck behind. So what's the difference? The difference between them is if there's only one captive there are no more other captives there. According to Shimon ben Gamliel, help them escape. According to the first opinion, you still don't help them escape because we're concerned about the future captives. Shimon ben Gamliel says that's not the issue. We're not going so far to say we're worrying about future captives. We're worrying about the ones that are there, that are still there. But if there's nobody else there, then you can help them escape. And then the Mishnah concludes, "Vein loichim sefarim tefillin mezuzos min hagoyim." One does not purchase scrolls, tefillin, mezuzos from goyim, meaning there's clearly the same as a mitzvah to redeem people. There's a mitzvah to redeem anything that is on the status of a scroll, like a Sefer Torah, tefillin, mezuzos. They're called matters of kedusha, where you have the name of Hashem on parchment. So these are objects of kedusha. There too, if they land up in the hands of goyim, there's a mitzvah to redeem them, to get them back, to buy them back. But here too, we say, "Ein loichin svarim tefillin mezuzos min hagoyim yoyisra kadei demeyan." You don't buy them back for more than their value. Why? They tikkun ha'olam, again, for the benefit of society. If they see that the Jews pay so much money for getting their holy articles back, that's just going to motivate them to steal more, and therefore you only purchase them back for their value. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi.
And if you don't think that people have